Greetings and welcome to my face reading Secrets of the People in the News session. I would like to remind you, if you are interested in the subject of face reading, you can watch on YouTube my Introduction to Face Reading and Face Reading 101. Today is our second reading session. I post these sessions every Thursday. Every week I choose one person and to do analysis of his or her personality and temperament. As I shared with you in the Face Reading 1, the face, which in Greek is persona, and literally means a mask, is the embodiment of our personality that accounts for 10% of who we are. The profile is the embodiment of our temperament. It is 90% of who we are. It's our inherent characteristics which we come into this world with. So, first I talk about the persona, the face, and what people show to everyone. And then we'll look at the people's profiles and see who they really are. Our person this week is Hillary Clinton. By the way, please don't think that I will be always talking about the politicians. It's just the timing. They're running for president, and we want to know as much as we can who is really running. So, Mrs. Hillary Clinton. I have to say it wasn't easy. First, because these days women make all kinds of changes in their faces, facelifts, nose jobs, Botox it's called, you name it. It's the mask on top of the mask. It does ultimately change the way you are. Mrs. Clinton is a kind of a little difficult to read, not because she had a facelift only, but because not only her face changed, which happens naturally every 5 to 10 years, but also her profile changed a lot in the last few years, which normally does not change except for those people who gain some weight and become lymphatic as they age. So Mrs. Clinton's face, the persona, it is Mars. You can see a clear rectangle. Look at the lines that's deliberately outlined here. Remember Donald Trump? Also Mars. So she is action-oriented, most action-oriented of all personality, independent, ready to fight, has a short fuse. She's fun-loving, generous, and courageous, as all Marses are. These are general characteristics of a Mars face. Now a few things about the features. Her blue eyes, it's deep blue eyes, not pale blue eyes. That means that she is passionate about social causes, loves children, and gets attached to people and ideas. Her eyes are deep set, so even though as a Mars she appears to be an extrovert, in truth she is an extroverted introvert. Shows to the world that she is an open book, but keeps the real stuff to herself. She has good memory. Look at her Jupiterian forehead, broad forehead. Has the ability and the patience to look at things thoroughly. Her intellectual zone, the space between the hairline and the bridge of the nose. Her emotional zone, the bridge of the nose, from the bridge of the nose to the part right under the nose, and her physical material zone from under the nose to the chin are in very good proportion. That is, she is not too intellectual at the expense of her emotions and physicality, and it's not too physical at the expense of her intellect. Now, I also want us to look at how she arrived to this face / personality. Let's look at these pictures. If you look, pictures 1 and 2, at the younger age she is a Venus, that is, a reconciliatory, peace-loving, let's make love not war kind of a girl. With age her face is changing. Into what? Into Mars, pictures 3 and 4. And then, after a facelift, she is a Venus again. But this is, as I said, a mask on top of the mask. We really don't know now who she is. She is showing to the world probably both. Remember, that is persona. That's what she learned to be and how she lives her life in the external life, in public. Now let's look at who she really is, deep down. But to read Mrs. Clinton, as I mentioned, her temperament is not very easy to read. Remember, the temperament is in the embodiment, or is embodied in the profile, and it almost never changes. And if it does, it's very little change. So look at Mrs. Clinton's profile for most of her life. So look at pictures 1 and 2 and 3. She is just like Donald Trump, a sanguine. That is, physical, active, muscle coordinated, loves sports and competition, short distance runner, physically and mentally, short attention span, territorial, acquisitive, general, doesn't like much going into details. She is short-tempered, gets easily bored, very good communicator. But wait, now look at the picture 4. And if you're interested, find on Google other pictures with Mrs. Clinton's profiles today. It's almost completely bilious. If you remember, if you ever studied Face Reading 101, it is an incredible transformation. It cannot be just a facelift. All these traits of a bilious had to be there in potential. So, here we are. There was and there is of Hillary Clinton. Picture 1, you can see the protruding chin and the tilted forehead of a sanguine. In the picture 2, the face and the forehead are pretty much aligned. The corner of the jaw was always bilious, so we know that Mrs. Clinton always had great endurance, much more than her husband. And what do we know about the bilious temperament? In general, the minds of the bilious are very active, always geared towards solving problems and overcoming challenges. The bilious are positive pessimists. They are problem solvers. They see problems everywhere, yet excited about finding ways to solve them. The only time the bilious get depressed if they have no challenges to overcome. That is why they are always in the pursuit of getting yet another thing done, another accomplishment under the belt, another battle won. They are willful, organized, long-distance runners in every possible way. They pursue their goals once they're clear about what they want without regard for time, effort, obstacles, or morality. After a clearer vision of their when and how, they use their tremendous will to accomplish, conquer, build, destroy, learn, unlearn, make peace, wage war, or whatever they choose to do to make it happen. Bilious are natural leaders, often admired but not necessarily loved by their followers, because while being highly intellectual, they often lack sensitivity and empathy. Having inexhaustible resources of determination, it's hard for them to understand why people are not doing their share. If a bilious person is in politics and he or she is not challenged, they may become dictators. Still, beyond morphology, beyond the face, beyond the appearance, there is personal morality and individual choices that people make in their lives. We all can live the best and the worst of our temperament. Perfect illustration of this are lives of two bilious types, or type leaders, Adolf Hitler and Mahatma Gandhi. They both had the same bilious will, the same unwavering commitment to the cause. Both had long-term plans and visions. The first was governed, forgive me for being a little biased, but by resentment, blame, and fear. The second, by self-reliance, respect, and compassion. Both changed the world, and you know the difference. Now, originally I decided to do strictly face reading without my comments or opinions, but sorry, I just cannot help myself. So from that you can probably guess, if again you studied Face Reading 101, you can guess my temperament on just paying attention to how I talk, the pace of my talking, and that I still have to express my opinion. I will indulge myself and do one more page. I want to compare the two candidates I spoke about. What would happen if they came to power? So, President Trump, at the end of his third presidential term, after creating a booming economy, building Trump cities and Trump squares and Trump museums and Trump highways, securing our borders and winning many wars in different parts of the world, suggested that the USA were to be renamed into Trumpania. If anyone disagreed with the president, he had a person's head chopped off, saying that the person did not have one in the first place. President Hillary Clinton, the head of the United Socialist State of America, redistributed the wealth of the country equally among all the citizens and confiscated from the population all guns, knives, and box cutters. Those who disagreed with her policies, she still called my dear friend and assured them in her deep respect and admiration for having their own opinions. Shortly after, it was announced that the dissidents voluntarily moved to the northern part of the state of Alaska. And that is all. Thank you for being with me today. I see you next Thursday. Hopefully, someone other than a politician will make the news.